get back to it. Filming this again because my phone died and it didn't save. So again, here we are. Phobias. I did originally act it out. Can I be bothered to do that again? Yeah, I can. Okay. This is Georgie. This is Debbie. And this is Catherine. And let's talk about phobias with them. Georgie has... What do you have? She has a specific phobia to the ocean. She is terrified of the ocean. Okay, who are you? You're Debbie? Yeah. Debbie has agoraphobia. She does not like to go outside. She does not like public spaces. This is Catherine. Catherine has social anxiety. I would too if my legs squeaked like that. Catherine has social anxiety. Let's start with Catherine because she's the easiest. Behavioural categories of phobias are avoidance, endurance, and panic. No, avoidance, endurance, yes, panic. Emotional characteristics of... Did I say depression? I meant phobias. Of phobias are anxiety, fear, and the word to unreasonable. Anxiety, fear, unreasonable, yes. Cognitive aspects of phobias, I hate this bit. They are cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions. So your interpretation of the phobia becomes distorted. It is not what it really is. So you lose understanding of the reality of the phobia. Focused perception on the phobic stimulus. So your attention becomes focused on the phobic stimulus, so you're unable to focus about other things, and you are just like zoomed in on the source of the phobia. And not unreasonable, and unrealistic, irrational beliefs. Okay, selective attention, irrational beliefs, and cognitive distortions. Okay, Catherine, she has social anxiety. How is this going to affect her behaviour? Okay, avoidance. She is going to avoid going into large crowds or situations where she knows her social anxiety is going to be triggered. So, Catherine is not going to take part in any extracurriculars. She is not going to try and make new friends. She is not going to go into unfamiliar situations because she knows her social anxiety is going to be triggered. So Catherine is not going to be taking a trip to Cheltenham this weekend because she is worried about her social anxiety around other people. Oh my god, hold on. Okay, so avoidance done. Endurance. I don't know if you can be avoidant and endure. Let's say you can. Catherine is going to anyway. Oh yeah, she will because she'll have to because she's not got agoraphobia, she's got social anxiety. So even though she is wanting to engage in this avoidant behaviour and it's eliciting this panic in her, she still needs to go into these situations. She still needs to have a life, she still needs to meet up with her friends, she still needs to get her haircut, do all of this stuff that triggers social anxiety in her. So she needs to endure the social anxiety and the accompanying feelings of panic and fear. So how is she going to do this? She is going to go, e.g. she's going to go to the mall, but while she's there, she is going to be focused on her feelings of social anxiety and the people around her and the source of the phobic stimulus. Okay, endurance, avoidance, and panic. When she's at the mall, she is going to be feeling panic that is not standard to that kind of situation. And when she's in situations that are eliciting social anxiety in her, she's going to be feeling heightened levels of panic that other people might feel but not to the same extent. She is feeling it in a way that is so severe that it is kind of lost sense of normality and lost sense of it can be explained by the situation. It's really just how she feels because of her phobia, social anxiety phobia. If it was less severe, then she wouldn't have a phobia, it would just be a normal feeling of panic. Okay, Catherine, thank you for... No, she's not gone yet. Emotional characteristics of phobias. Okay, these are fear, anxiety, and they're unreasonable. So when Catherine is in these situations that are eliciting social anxiety, so just when she goes to the mall, she is going to be feeling fear. So she's going to be scared, she's going to be frightened, she is going to be feeling like, oh, I'm worried, I don't want to be here, and she's going to have anxiety, so this could result in her having a panic attack, or feeling very anxious, or looking very jittery, or feeling very overwhelmed, and feeling like people are watching her. So they're unreasonable as well, because they cannot be explained by the situation. They are so heightened, they cannot be explained by the situation. Whereas, yes, going to the mall or going to hairdressers might elicit fear and anxiety in everyone, or like a normal person, but they are not so severe that it can be classed as a phobia. Okay, thank you, Catherine. Oh no, she's still not gone. Cognitive characteristics of phobias. Let's see if I can remember them for the 5th time. Cognitive distortions. Okay, so for social anxiety, this could be when she's in a large crowd, when she's at the mall in Cheltenham, she's in a large crowd, her cognitive distortions would be that everybody is looking at her, everybody's focused on her, and everybody's judging her. That's her cognitive distortions, because it's just not real. Like, yes, there might be 1 or 2 people looking at you and thinking, what the hell are you wearing? But for the most part, the entire population of Cheltenham is not going to be looking at you and thinking you're such a weirdo. So, cognitive distortions. Your attention becomes focused on the source of the phobic stimulus. I can't remember what that's called, but we'll check in a minute. And so for Catherine, when she's at the mall, her attention is going to be focused on her feelings of social anxiety and the source of the social anxiety. So at the mall, it is likely to be other people. So she is focused on the people around her. She's less able to be present and less able to focus on enjoying her experience and shopping and spending time at the mall. Okay, then the last one is irrational beliefs. I always forget irrational beliefs. So this links to cognitive distortions. So Catherine, what are your irrational beliefs in relation to your phobia of social anxiety? Okay, this is kind of the same. She thinks everyone is out to get her and everyone is judging her. That's not rational. That is because it's lost relation to reality, because it's not real. Not everyone is out to get you. The world is not going to end. Everything feels much more heightened when you have social anxiety, and you become very absorbed in yourself, and you lose sense of the fact everybody else is an individual just like you, and no one has the time to spend their entire time out shopping, looking at you and judging you. And no offence, Catherine, but you are not important enough to have the entirety of Cheltenham staring at you and thinking, what the hell are you wearing? Like, you're just not. So that's social anxiety. Now we're going to go to Georgie, and she is going to tell us about specific phobia. She has a specific phobia to the ocean. Tell me about your specific phobia to the ocean, Georgie. Okay, so her behaviour is she is going to mainly engage in avoidance behaviour. So she will engage in endurance behaviour, but only when she really, really has to. So a couple months ago, she was going on a road trip, and they briefly had to drive past a landscape where she could see the ocean, so she had to engage in endurance behaviour because she had to be there. Whereas for the most part, she is not going to engage in endurance behaviour. She is going to be engaging in avoidance behaviour. So then the psychological intervention could be to encourage her to engage in endurance behaviour and to encourage her to be around phobic stimulus for ocean. Okay, but for the most part, Georgie is avoidant. She is going to avoid going on holiday, because when you're going on holiday, when you're flying, you're generally going to be flying over the ocean. She is going to avoid going to the coast. She is going to avoid going to the seaside and being around the ocean. She's just not going to want to go anywhere near the ocean. So she's going to spend most of her life in urban areas and rural areas that are in the centre of England. She spent most of her life in the Cotswolds because there's no ocean anywhere near here. Okay, this is Georgie. This is her behaviour. Panic when she sees... Georgie has very severe phobia, so when she sees a picture of the ocean, she feels panicked. When she sees it on TV, she feels panicked. It elicits this panic response in her. It doesn't have to be just when she's physically in front of the ocean. It can be just when she sees a picture, when she hears a song, or when she hears about it on a film or whatever. Okay, so that's her behaviour. Okay, now we're going to go into Georgie's emotional characteristics of her specific phobia to the ocean. Tell me about your emotional characteristics in relation to your specific phobia of the ocean, Georgie. Okay, Georgie feels anxious. Are you feeling anxious? Yeah, she's feeling anxious, scared, and they're unreasonable. So when she hears about the ocean, she feels anxiety. The one time she was forced to go to the ocean 5 years ago, she was so anxious she had a panic attack. So it can really resonate in very severe ways. She will avoid watching films that, this is related to behaviour, but she will avoid watching films that have the ocean in them because it elicits such high levels of anxiety in her. She has fear, so she is scared of the ocean, so the ocean frightens her, and she thinks maybe she's just scared of the ocean, okay, because that's going to link to cognitive. And these are unreasonable. Her fear and her anxiety are so heightened. It's normal to have a fear or to be anxious about the ocean because it can be dangerous and it's deep. And a lot of people have fear or anxiety around the ocean. It would be considered normal to have a certain level of fear about the ocean. But Georgie is so scared of the ocean that it's no longer considered normal. It's no longer reasonable. It doesn't relate to the ocean's actual threat to her. Okay, so Georgie is very emotional when it comes to the ocean, and it's not reasonable, Georgie. Okay, now we're going on to cognitive characteristics of phobias. These are... Okay, I'm going to get it eventually. I've got one more to do, so I have to get it eventually. Skewed perceptions. No, distorted. No. Okay, skewed perceptions. Skewed perceptions, distorted beliefs, and cognitive distortions, skewed perceptions, and your attention becomes focused in on it. Your attention becomes focused on the phobic stimulus. So Georgie's attention is becoming focused on phobic stimulus. So if it's mentioned briefly in a conversation, she is not going to be able to think about the rest of the conversation. Her mind is immediately going to zoom in on the idea of the ocean that's being brought up. If she sees the ocean in a film, Finding Nemo, her whole thought, well, Finding Nemo is kind of unavoidable. What's a film with the ocean in it, Georgie? You should know, because you should be avoiding them. Titanic. No, we can't say Titanic. Okay, we'll say Titanic. Okay, when she watches Titanic, she is ignoring the love story between Jack and Rose. She's ignoring everything else that's going on. She's ignoring the fact they're safely on a boat. She is focusing on the ocean. That's the only thing she's able to focus on, and she's not able to take up any of the rest of the story because her attention span has been zoomed in on the source of the phobic stimulus, the ocean. That would probably be a really bad film for Georgie. I don't recommend Georgie watches that, but yeah. Okay, and then the last one is irrational. So it's just not rational. Irrational beliefs, skewed perceptions. Okay, we'll say it's irrational. Skewed cognitive. Okay, we'll say it's irrational beliefs. So Georgie's feelings about the ocean are just not rational. She is scared to sit on a bench that overlooks the ocean because she thinks the ocean might crawl up the cliffside and come and get her. Like, it's just not rational. Her fear about the ocean is... Well, the ocean's kind of a hard one because probably most fears about the ocean is some truth behind them. But yeah, it's just not rational. Georgie's not being rational about the ocean. Georgie, you are okay. Like, you can watch a film with the ocean in it and you will survive. Let's just check. Okay, yeah, irrational beliefs. Okay, I've got it. Rational beliefs, cognitive distortions, and selective attention to the phobic stimulus. Okay, who have I not done? I don't think I've done Debbie. Let me check the video who I haven't done because that's really important. Yeah, Debbie really likes to be at home. Let's talk, Debbie, about your behaviour and your emotions and your cognitions. Okay, her behaviour. Debbie is definitely engaging in avoidance here, aren't you, Debbie? Because she is not going outside. She is getting her shopping done on... I don't know how people get their shopping done online. Let's say she's getting it done on Uber Eats. Debbie's getting her dinner delivered to her on Uber Eats. She is not stepping outside. Okay. Debbie's not meeting up with friends outside. She's not going to the mall. She doesn't care that it's a sunny day out. She is not going to go sit in her garden. That's really sad, Debbie, that you feel like that. You need some psychological help. But okay, let's get to it. Avoidance. That was her avoidance. Endurance. She is not taking part in endurance. She is not stepping outside the door. Okay, the one time she's taking part in endurance behaviour is when she has to walk to the end of her yard to what are you doing at the end of your yard? To put bird feed in the bird holder, because Debbie really cares about the birds. So even though she's so scared about being outside, she will run to the bird feeder at the end of the tree, at the end of the garden, on the only tree in her garden, so it has to be there, and she will endure the phobia momentarily because it's so important to her that she has to put the bird feed there. So she can endure it for that very specific reason. So it is possible to endure the phobia, even if you're engaging in mainly avoidance behaviour, if you really need to. Okay, thank you, Debbie. And also she's feeling panicked. When she looks outside, she immediately feels panicked. So a lot of the time she has to have her curtains shut, because even seeing outside is making her feel a bit uncomfortable, because it's reminding her of what it's like to be out there. When friends offer to go out with her, she says no, and she immediately feels panicked. Anytime she's had to go outside, 5 years ago, Debbie had to go to the doctors. She was panicked the whole time. She had a panic attack. That's not good. Right. Emotional characteristics of Debbie's phobia, agoraphobia, are anxiety, fear, and unreasonable again. Okay, Debbie, let's talk about your anxiety. Her anxiety is triggered by the idea of being outside or being away from home or being in a public space. So she becomes so anxious at the idea that she might have an anxiety attack. What's the difference between an anxiety attack and a panic attack? Okay. She might have an anxiety attack, and she's feeling very frightened by that's what the key emotion it's eliciting in her is fear. She is scared to go outside. Okay. And these are unreasonable because, again, they are not what the normal person experiences when going outside. Okay, we all might experience once in a while that we don't want to go outside because we're panicked at the idea of being outside, or running into somebody we don't like, or I don't know, or getting caught in the rain. Like, we all might experience these feelings about being outside once in a while, and some people might consider themselves to be introverts and to be homebodies, and they prefer to be at home. But for Debbie, it is so extreme that she has agoraphobia. She has a phobia. Okay, cognitive characteristics of phobias. I looked, but I was wondering. I only saw the top one. Okay, the top one is selective attention to the phobia. Debbie's attention is zoomed in on the phobia. So when she sat in the living room talking to her husband and the curtains are open, the only thing Debbie can focus on is the idea of being outside and the birds flying past, and just the idea of being outside because she's able to see the outside world. Okay, when she's talking to her friends in the safety of their own home, and they're talking about their holiday they've recently been on that is so clearly been outside, obviously, the only thing she can focus on is the source of her phobic stimulus, the fear of being outside. Okay, selective attention, cognitive distortions. Okay, I've got it. Cognitive distortions. Her interpretation of being outside is no longer in relation to reality. Her cognitive interpretation has become distorted. Being outside should not frighten you or elicit the same fear and anxiety in you as it is eliciting in Debbie. So her view of it has become distorted. Irrational beliefs. She may believe that if she goes outside, she's going to be... What do you believe, Debbie? Tell us what you believe. Okay, Debbie believes that she might be sucked up by aliens, or the world's going to end. Everyone in the world is going to be looking at her. The sky's going to fall in. Very irrational beliefs, because that's just not true. Like, we need to be outside. We need to spend time outside. So it's really affecting Debbie's life. Okay, so that's phobias. I'm going to take a second to breathe. Okay, now we move on to Debbie. Debbie, what do you have? Do you have agoraphobia? Yeah. Debbie's got agoraphobia. She does not like to be outside. She does not like to be in public spaces. Debbie is a very extreme homebody. She wants to be at home.